it's not an easy matchup. I know on paper it's 1 against 8 as far as seeds go, but it's certainly much, much closer than that. They're an excellent team. They're very well organized, have some good individual players to decide games, but also everybody in the team is committed and hardworking. And it's a very well-rounded team, very difficult to beat, and just one of those teams that we match up maybe not so great against. It's very difficult for us to beat them. But we, as you said, we have experience in those games. And at halftime, our message to the guys was, look, it's 0-0. We didn't play great, but I'm not sure Vancouver can play much better. And we can, and we know what we can do in bigger games. And that's what we saw in the second half. And I was really proud of the guys and their effort in the second half.
Hey, Steve. The Vancouver certainly had the better in midfield in that first half, and then you made the adjustments. Can you talk a little bit about what they were doing that made it difficult for you, and just how going to the 3 just changed the game?
Yeah, there's always a numerical advantage for them when we play like that. It's a choice we make to have advantages elsewhere, but we couldn't get those advantages kind of on the field in the first half. And so mostly due to Vancouver, but also due to us being a little too static and our ball movement a little too slow and speed of play was too slow. And just not having enough confidence to play sometimes in tight spaces. All that changed in the second half, and I think taking away the numerical advantage in midfield, or at least reducing it by 1, made all the world of difference for us, especially in the second ball game. And once the game got fast, that's kind of up our wheelhouse. And then it's tough team. Well, it's tough to play against us. And I think it was only a matter of time until we scored the first goal. And I would have preferred for us to kind of keep our foot on the gas a little longer. But in the end, we also showed what we can do as well as keep a clean sheet. And that's also very important in this game.
Steve, a little bit more on that clean sheet. Just what did you like about the team's defensive effort, especially late in the game, how they stayed tight and when Vancouver was pressuring, trying to get the equalizer?
Yeah, I think our box defending was excellent, whether it was blocking a shot, cross, or defending the cross. There was 1 or 2 stupid fouls, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot going on. And, credit to the guys, and the in-box defending was excellent. If I'm picky, and I will be this week in training, I think we're defending a little too deep that late in the game, and I understand the momentum and the way those games work and the scoreline and what's on at stake and how Vancouver pushes, but you still need to do a better job of pushing your lines forward, getting pressure on the ball, and minimizing the amount of balls that are flying into your box, and then also the quality of the pass that goes into your box. And that is only possible if you do get ample pressure on the ball carrier.
Steve, going from 2 midfielders to the 3, is that just a statement about things you've worked on all season and you've played with both lineups and different lineups and knowing that you can rely on both in a big moment like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really have to talk about it too much. It's just a switch to a 4-3-3, and guys adapted very well and felt comfortable in those spots. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough, and certainly showed us that we have a different gear. Sometimes with different prioritizing different spaces, I like to put it. It also shows us we have some work to do.
Vanny said that he thought you would come out with 3 in the midfield. You would start the match with that. He also guessed on starting Bogusz as the 9 instead of Giroux. So is there a reason that you didn't start that way with 3 midfielders? What was your thinking there as opposed to the 2?
Well, if you start with 3 midfielders and you stay with 3 defenders, you can only have 2 attackers. And so we choose another attacker. I think LAFC, as long as I've been here, and I know Bob did the same, we always want 3 attackers in the field. And a lot of our training, and a lot of our movements, a lot of our habits and behaviors and principles of play are much better when you use 3 attackers. And so not having that on the field really disrupts our rhythm a little bit. And so we, excuse me. We really want to hold on to that, as much as possible. And I'm fine, Seth, thank you. So if you want to keep 3 up top and put 3 in the midfield, your only choice is to have 4 in the back. And there are risks, there are advantages to it, and I think for the first 25, 30 minutes, second half, we saw a lot of the advantages.
if I could just ask
Yeah,
one
of
more.
course.
I walked in a little late, so I don't know if you addressed Matty's goal, but I think this is correct. It was his 20th goal in all competitions this season. He's obviously been all versatile player. Wherever you plug him in, he's been successful for you. Just expand a little bit on what he's meant and how much you've seen him improve and grow in this season.
Yeah, he's a fantastic finisher, and so you don't score 20 goals if you're not a good finisher. Those are the basics of any attacker on the field. If you can't finish a play, then you're probably not going to score a lot of goals. Then you need to focus on maybe assists, and maybe you're hardworking and your tactical work, or maybe it's physical. Okay, Matty also has the ability to play in midfield, and so he also has the ability to pass across, to wiggle out of situations, to dribble. Not so much a 1v1 player like a Denis Bouanga who's going to run by you, but he can wiggle out of pressure situations. All of that he has been able to use in different positions, but it's always going to look the same. And I think credit to Matty, he understands our tactics, he listens, he adapts to him, but he still uses his tools that he has in different areas of the field. And I think that makes it very difficult to defend. But yeah, he took his goal very well. Every touch was perfect, and his idea and that he had in his head, he implemented very well, and he implemented at the highest pace possible at that moment, which gave him a great advantage, and just a class finish. So Matty is going away with the Polish national team, well deserved, and we wish him all the best, and hopefully he can do the same for them.
Coach, congratulations on the win. No Kai Kamara in the 18. Was it an injury or is it just a personnel decision? Any reason why Kai wasn't in there?
Yeah, he has every right to be there. There's a lot of players who are not on the roster. Eric Duenas was on the roster all year. Nathan Ordaz, now Kai. David Ochoa wasn't on the roster as a third goalkeeper. It's obviously a great problem for the coach, but some really, really tough decisions tonight. Having two big nines, Kai and Olivier, I didn't see a world where both would be on the field at the same time. And I did see a situation where maybe Carlos or David Martinez can help us against this particular team. It could be different against Seattle.
Steve, I think I walked in when you were kind of just saying about Vancouver, praising them and giving them props on how they played. And Vanny said something about playing you guys, obviously so much familiarity. 2 years ago, it would have made it maybe a different result than it was today. You kind of agree with that, just seeing them so much and kind of how that game plays? And then on the flip side, now you guys kind of get Seattle, where it could be the same story, where you guys play each other so much. And how do you approach that with having these 2 weeks off now and seeing somebody that you're really familiar with?
Yeah, I think the best way to do it, there is familiarity, and there is sometimes you tend to, when you play and see a team a lot, you tend to fall into certain rhythms and habits against that team. There is the danger there, but I think you really, really need to approach each game individually. Even if you've won 40 in a row, the 41st needs to be approached in the same manner as the first 40. And even if you've won them all or you've lost them all, I don't think the approach changes. The more you think about it, the more you get into that psychological spiral. Oh, we've won. We're going to win again. Or, oh, they're bound to win at least one. So maybe this is the time. And when you start to think like that, that's wrong. There are reasons why you win a lot of games in certain teams. But those reasons are only visible from the outside if you do your work and you approach the game in the right manner and you work on details and you analyze why you've actually won that game and you work on those and you make sure you implement those in the next game. But you cannot just approach a game and say, oh, it's a good matchup, we're going to beat them because we always have. That is when things start to go sour. And we don't do that at LAFC. We treat every game individually. Every roster, when you play a team, is going to be different. We had 3 games against Vancouver. The roster for both teams was different each game, and the starting lineups as well. And so every game is absolutely different, and we will always approach it that way.
Coach, Olivier Giroud had an instant impact, but what was that conversation with him like about starting on the bench tonight?
Professional. We had an idea with starting Matty there. Just a little different approach, maybe having Matty drop a little deeper, overloading the midfield a little bit, and giving us some more possession. That's it. Nothing more to that. There's no reason to, from my perspective or from the players, to over-analyze it. it's just a different approach.
Thank you.
Hello, Steve. Congratulations for the pass. I want to ask you if, by any chance, FIFA has contacted you to participate or attending to the Club World Cup, saying that you lost against León, and I think León can't participate in the Club's World Cup due to the multi-propiedad of Grupo Pachuca.
I personally have not been contacted by anybody. I don't know, and if they would like LFC to participate in that tournament, we will field a very strong team, and I would love to go, but I have no idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Steve, one more from you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
You get 2-week break now. They have a 3-week break. What are your thoughts on that? Good, bad, doesn't matter?
Not sure it matters. Breaks are usually good. I think Seattle had a couple injuries, so they'll be happy to get a couple guys back. Unfortunately, we're losing a few guys to the international window, so I think that's the bigger issue here. Not so much the break, but the international window in the middle of playoffs is a little bit of a disaster. So we get guys back 2 days before the next game, which I'm just not sure that's the proper way to end the season. But we've done it before. We've done it all year, so we accept the terms, obviously, and we'll make the best of it. But, I'm not sure the break really makes a difference. It's just international windows are tough for us. We lose about a bunch of players.
Can you tell us who's going to start Maddie?
I'm sure Seth will send out a release, or we will. I don't want to botch it.